Continuing the web application pen testing learning path on TryHackMe, this is the XXE injection room. Introduction. XXE, also known as XML external entity injection, is a type of security flaw that exploits vulnerabilities in an application's XML input. It occurs when an application accepts XML input that includes external entity references within the XML itself. Attackers can leverage this vulnerability to disclose local files, make server-side requests, or execute remote code. Given the widespread use of XML in web applications, particularly in the web services and SOAP-based APIs, the severity of these vulnerabilities cannot be underestimated. I was like, I couldn't tell if it said understated or underestimated. I had to like really look at that. What's up, Bulba? Thanks for stopping in. How you doing today? Objectives. Recognize the fundamental concepts and dangers associated with XXE injection. Identify vulnerable XML processing configurations and practices. Develop techniques for detecting, exploiting, and mitigating XXE vulnerabilities in applications. Prerequisites. Knowledge of how XML documents are structured, including tags, attributes, and entity references. Familiarity with how web applications process, input, and manage data. 3. Basic knowledge of OWASP, ZAP, or Burp Suite. Deploy the VM is our first task. So if you don't know how to deploy VM on TryHackMe, it's very simple, guys. You can do the attack box that it comes with, but I like using my own Kali Linux. So to do that, all you got to do is you would click Access Machines. And then what you would do is do OpenVPN Advanced. It's really not that advanced, guys, and it's really basic. Yes, it is easier to use attack box, but if you have your own Kali Linux, which you should if you're going to take pen testing and cybersecurity seriously, you want to download your OpenVPN. You would just click this, and then whatever system you're on, if you're using Kali Linux, you would just highlight Linux, and then all you would do is follow the instructions here. But the instructions would just be download it. So you would just click this to download. And that's going to take a minute to download, so I'm not going to sit around and wait for it. Oh, there it is. Okay. And what we got to do is we just got to change directory to our downloads. And then we just do OpenVPN. And where is that VPN? Here it is. You would just do your VPN pack right here, and then that would connect you to the VPN. And I just accidentally closed it. I think it's still running though. Let's look. I did not mean to accidentally close it. I have. Oops. Let me do that again. Open VPN and then the VPN file. There we go. I didn't mean to close it. Alright, so this tab is my Firefox. My Firefox is weird. I have to have I have to launch it to the terminal. This tab is my VPN. This is gonna be our regular tab here. Go back to my home directory, clear that out. Alright. Now that that is connected, we can now start the machine. So let's hit start machine. I went to Alaska for a security analyst position. They paid travel, living expenses. The manager likes me a lot, but he said he needs to do a few things with HR first. It's been 8 days since. I'm thinking about what you just said. So the 8 days, I wouldn't worry too much about that because I just had a friend who accepted a position for a incident response position, and he went a week without hearing back from the company. And the reason why was because the CEO was on vacation or he was traveling or something. He was out of the office for a week, and that's why. And stuff like that happens. I would definitely ping him if you haven't heard anything back. and just say, hey, can you give me an update? Is it normal? I would say it's not abnormal. It's not, you definitely don't want that, right? I mean, ideally you should have something sooner than that, but I like I said, they could have been, you know, the manager could have been on vacation. The manager could have been out of the office, you know, could have been an emergency in the company. So I wouldn't be freaking out. I would just follow up. I would definitely follow up. Send them an email and asking for a status update. Also, Bulba, if you are looking to move to Alaska, I might be able to help you out here because I do know a company that is hiring in Alaska. So, if it falls through the cracks, you can just hit me up on LinkedIn, and I can refer you to one of the hiring managers. It's an Alaska position only. It's only, you have to be willing to move there, or if you already live there. For those who are interested, I guess. Alright, so here we go. Okay, thanks for the reference. I'm a IT support now for 8 months. Started from 0 like 20 months ago. Nice. What is XML? XML, Extensible Markup Language, is a markup language derived from SGML, Standard Generalized Markup Language, which is the same standard that HTML is based on. XML is typically used by applications to store and transport data in a format that both human readable and machine parsable. It's a flexible and widely used format for exchanging data between different systems and applications. XML consists of elements, attributes, and character data, which are used to represent data in a structured and organized way. XML syntax and structure. XML elements are represented by tags, which are surrounded by angle brackets. Is that what that's called? I never knew they were called angle brackets. I always just called them the greater than equal sign. Tags usually come in pairs, which is the opening tag preceding the content and the closing tag following the command. For example, boom. I'm willing to relocate anywhere for my first hire job. Nice. Yeah, like I said, I might be able to refer you to a company if you hit me up on LinkedIn. It's in Alaska. I used to live in Alaska, and my buddy who is still in Alaska, he's in charge of hiring people up there. And he tells me all the time it's really hard to find people. So if you got actual skills, which I don't know if you do or not, but if you're here watching my stream, you're automatically cool. So there's that. And if you're watching TryHackMe, super nerd, and that's exactly what you need to be to find your first cyber job. So and you got it going. You're doing good. The tag named John represents an element named with the content John. Attributes provided this. Oh, snap. We have. There we go. Who just followed? Oh man, I missed the alert. And I gotta go look. Someone just subscribed on YouTube. Normally I have that event. I turned off my alerts because when I record I don't want the alerts. But when I stream I want the alerts. Here we go. Who just subscribed? I think it's Louis Sosa. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate you subscribing over on the YouTube channel. Did I read this yet? The tag John represents the element named John with the content John. Attributes provide additional information about elements and are specified within the opening tag. The tag user ID equals 1 specifies an attribute ID with the value 1 for the element user. Character data refers to the content within elements such as John. How many times can you fit John in a paragraph? The example above shows a simple XML document with elements, attributes, and character data. The tag XML version 1.0 encoding equals UTF-8 declaration indicates the XML version, and the element contains various sub-elements and attributes representing user data. Common use cases in web applications. XML is widely used in web applications for data exchange, storage, and configuration. It's often used for web services, and APIs such as SOAP and REST to exchange data between systems. XML is also used for configuration files such as web server configurations or application settings. What is XSLT? XSLT, Extensible Style Sheet Language Transformations, that is a mouthful, is a language used to transform and format XML documents. While XSLT is primarily used for data transformation and formatting, it is also significantly relevant to XXE, XML, external entities attacks. XSLT can be used to facilitate XXE attacks in several ways. Data extraction. XSLT can be used to extract sensitive data from an XML document, which can be used in the XXE attack. For example, an XSLT style sheet can extract user credentials and other sensitive information from an XML file. 2. Entity expansion. XSLT can expand entities defined in an XML document, including external entities. This can allow an attacker to inject malicious entities, leading to an XXE vulnerability. Data manipulation. XSLT can manipulate data in an XML document, potentially allowing an attacker to inject malicious data or modify existing data to exploit an XXE vulnerability. Blind XXE. XSLT can be used to perform blind XXE attacks, in which an attacker injects malicious entities without seeing the server's response. What are DTDs? Oh my goodness, so many new acronyms. I never even knew some of these. Like DDTs, never knew that. Never knew that. XSLT, that's a new acronym for me too. This is definitely an intermediate learning path, by the way. It's not beginner level any stretch of the imagination. DTTs, or document type definitions, define the structure and constraints of an XML document. They specify the allowed elements, are attributes, and relationships between them. DTTs can be internal within the XML document or external in a separate file. Purpose and usage of DTTs. Validation. DTTs validate the structure of XML to ensure it meets specific criteria before processing, which is crucial in environments where data integrity is key. Entity declaration. DTTs defines entities that can be used throughout the XML document, including external entities, which are key to XXE attacks. Internal DTTs are specified using the !doc type declaration, while external DTTs are referenced using the system keyword. The example above shows an internal DTT defining the structure of a configuration file. The !element declaration specifies the allowed elements and their relationships. DTTs and XXE. DTTs play a crucial role in XXE injection, as they can be used to declare external entities. External entities can reference external files or URLs, which can lead to malicious data or code injections. XML entities. XML entities, placeholders for data or code that can be expanded within an XML document. There are 5 types of entities: internal entities, external entities, parameter entities, general entities, and character entities. So many types of entities, 5 to be in fact. This shows an external entity referencing a URL. An external reference within the XML document will be expanded into the contents of the reference URL. Types of entities. Internal entities are essentially variables used within the XML document to define and substitute content that may be repeated multiple times. They are defined in the DTD document type definition and can simplify the management of repetitive information. For example, in this example, the INF entity is replaced by its value where it appears in the document. External entities are similar to internal entities, but their contents are referenced from outside the XML document, such as from a separate file or URL. This feature can be exploited in XXE XML external entity attacks if the XML processor is configured to resolve external entities. For example, here an ext pulls content from the specified URL, which can be a security risk if the URL is controlled by an attacker. Parameter entities are special types of entities used within DTDs to define reusable structures or to include external DTD subsets. They are particularly useful for modularizing DTDs and for maintaining large-scale XML applications. For example, in this case, %common is used within a DTD to define the type of data that the name element should contain. General entities are similar to variables and can be declared either internally or externally. They are used to define substitutions that can be used within the body of the XML document, unlike parameter entities. General entities are intended for use in the document content. For example, the entity and author is a great entity used to substitute the author's name wherever it's referenced in the document. Character entities are used to represent special or reserved characters that cannot be used directly in XML documents. These entities prevent the parser from misinterpreting XML syntax. For example, an LT for the less than symbol, and GT for the greater than symbol, and AMP for the ampersand. This usage ensures that the special characters are processed correctly by the XML parser without breaking the document structure. The image below shows the type of entities in the DOM structure. So many entities. Oh man. What is the meaning of the acronym SGML? That's up here. The answer to that is up here somewhere. Standard generalized markup language. So I'm just going to copy that, scroll back down, and paste that here and submit. And that is correct. What is the meaning of the acronym DTD? Document. Oh my god, I already forgot. Document type definition. There we go. We'll just copy that and paste it there. And we're going to move on to task 3. XML parsing. XML parsing is a process by which an XML is read and its information is accessed and manipulated by a software program. XML parsers convert data from XML format into a structure that a program can use, like a DOM tree. During this process, parsers may validate XML data against a schema or a DTD, ensuring the structure conforms to certain rules. If a parser is configured to process external entities, it can lead to unauthorized access to files, internal systems, and external websites. Common XML parsers. Several XML parsers are used across different programming environments. Each parser may handle XML data differently, which can affect vulnerability to XXE injection. DOM, Document Object Model Parser. This method builds the entire XML document into a memory-based tree structure, allowing random access to all parts of the document. It is a resource-intensive but very flexible. SAX, Simple API for XML Parser, parses XML data sequentially without loading the whole document into memory, making it suitable for large XML files. However, it is less flexible for accessing XML data randomly. Stacks, streaming API for XML parser. Similar to SACS, Stacks parses XML documents in a streaming fashion, but gives the programmer more control over the XML parsing process. XPath parser parses an XML document based on expression and is used extensively in conjunction with XSLT. What XML parser builds the entire XML document into memory-based tree structure, allowing random access to be all parts of the document. I'm gonna say DOM. Wait. Yeah, it's DOM. It literally says right here. Memory-based tree structure allowing random access to all parts of the document. So it's DOM parser. So we can actually copy this, paste it. Oh, no, I can't. I was going to paste and then delete this part, but we'll just type it in. DOM parser. Submit. Done. Moving to task 4. How many tasks are there? This one's a long one. In-band versus out-of-band XXE. In-band XXE refers to the XXE vulnerability where the attacker can see the response from the server. This allows for straightforward data exfiltration and exploitation. The attacker can simply send malicious XML payload to the application, and the server will respond with the extracted data or the result of the attack. Out-of-band XXE, on the other hand, refers to an XXE vulnerability where the attacker cannot see the response from the server. This requires using alternative channels such as DNS or HTTP requests to exfiltrate data. To extract the data, the attacker must craft a malicious XML payload that will trigger an out-of-band request, such as DNS query or HTTP request. In-band XXE exploitation. We'll be using BERT for this room. To demonstrate this vulnerability, go to here and in contact. So we'll just open that up. I scrolled down. I wanted to take a peek at the questions. What's up? How do you say your name? Is it LeForn77? Thanks for stopping in. How you doing today? Welcome to the show. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. I'm glad to hear you're doing good as well. I don't understand why I can't. I'm not connected to the TryHackMe network. Let's try this. There we go. That works. Alright. I can't connect to this somehow. Why am I having troubles connecting to the TryHackMe? Let's go ahead and copy the IP address here. I'm just going to ping it real quick. See if we get pings. We're getting responses back. So we have connectivity. But when I travel to the page, I get nothing. Let's close out of it and try it again, I suppose. There we go. Now it's working. That's weird. Okay. We are going to load up burp, actually. Is actually what we're going to do. We are going to go to proxy. and we're going to click on open browser. And we're actually going to close out of this. Copy the URL first, close out of that. And we're going to paste. Well, before we paste it, we're going to go to target, scope, add, and we're going to put 10, 10, 81, 20 in our scope. That way we don't get any other traffic. And hit OK on that. And then we're going to go back to our burp browser. Then we're going to go to the contact page here. And now if we go back to burp, we can see that's in our history. And we're only going to see the traffic from our target URL in our burp history. Death Restore, I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about. I'm not familiar. If that question's for me, I'm not familiar. Death Restore. Okay. Let's continue on. OSINT tools. Oh. Spiderfoot, Sherlock, and the new one, Mr. Holmes. I'm still not familiar with them. I'm not a master OSINter, I ain't gonna lie. I don't really do deep dives on OSINT. That's just not my thing. I'll do some very, very light OSINT on an external penetration test, but I don't really dive that deep because I don't really have to. Like I said, I just kind of do like this surface, maybe a slightly below the surface digging on OSINTs, only on external network pen tests. And I'll dive deeper if there's not a whole lot going on in the external network. If there's a lot going on in the external network, then I don't have time to do OSINT. It really just depends on the engagement. But overall, like I know how to do OSINT, but it's not something that I'm like particularly like excited for. I think the thing for me, I like exploiting is my favorite part of hacking. The recon and all that, which is important by the way, but the OSINT, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It's important, but you don't need to be a master OSINter to be a pen tester, in my opinion. They definitely help. Like, if you can do more OSINting, but I would say the first ever external network pen test I ever did, I spent too much time on OSINT because everyone was like, OSINT's important. OSINT's important. OSINT is important. And my first ever external pen test, I spent an entire day OSINTing. I mean an entire day because OSINT's important, right? Well, that's a myth in my opinion. And I lost an entire day of actual testing. And when I got to like the network pen test portion of that engagement, I had way less time than I needed because I spent too much time on the OSINT. So that was a lesson learned for me. And ever since then, I'll spend half a day tops on OSINT, half a day tops. And even then, I would prefer it to be like a quarter day, like few hours is what I usually do for OSINT on an external pen test. Now, like I said, I'll spend more time on OSINT if and only if the external network has a small scope, right? If there's 20 IP addresses, then I'm not going to get an OSINT. But there's only one IP address and there's not much going on with it, then yeah, I'll spend more time on OSINT. So you kind of got to engage my engagement. Hopefully that helps you. I know I went on a tangent there, but that's a good conversation. That's something I haven't talked about ever on any of my blog posts, my podcasts, this stream, any of my YouTube videos. None of it, dude. That That was something I've never said before, but that's why I'm glad you brought it up. Did I say what's up, Daniel? Daniel Kata Lasha. I think I'm saying that right. Thanks for stopping in. How are you doing today? Glad to see you here. All right, what was it? We are continuing on. All right, so it said navigate here and fill out the form. All right, so we're gonna fill out the form. Click the submit button and intercept the request. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to proxy. No, we're gonna go, yeah, proxy, intercept, and we're gonna turn intercept on. We're gonna go back over here. Name, Kyser Clark. Email, Kyser@KyserClark.com. Message, subscribe to the channel. Submit. And that's what we get when we intercept it. Hidden wisdom plus hot take. Yeah, it was a little bit of a hot take. Yeah, that was a little bit of a hot take because I feel like everyone's like, OSINT's so important. And I'm like, it's really not, you know, in a pen test. Now, if you're doing red team engagement, that's different. Red team engagement is very important. But pen tests, you don't get that much time to do a lot of OSINT. You got me going again. That'd be a good video. OSINT's not that important. They'd get a lot of views, I bet. Because everyone's like, no one says that. And maybe I'm just dumb, you know? Maybe I'm just, you know, maybe it's more important than I'm giving it credit. But in my experience, I don't put a lot of weight to it. I will a little bit. I don't let an external pen test go without doing OSINT. Alright, so here's our request that we just sent. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It says it right there. I didn't. Where did that come from? Let's continue on here. Alright, so submit the button and intercept the request. Alright, done, did that. The submitted data is processed by contact_submit.php, which contains a vulnerable PHP code designed to return the value of the name parameter when a user submits a message in the form. Below is a vulnerable code. Since the application returns the value of the name parameter, we can inject an entity that is pointed to /etc password to disclose its values. Bro, like, what part of this is vulnerable? Like, this whole thing is vulnerable, but like, why though? Like, it doesn't tell me why it's vulnerable. You know what I mean? That's what I don't get. It's like, oh, this is vulnerable, but it's like, I don't understand, well, what makes it vulnerable? Why it's invulnerable? Is it this entire thing? Is it like a certain line? Is it? So this makes sense to me because they're just putting etc password into the entity right here. That makes sense to me. Using the payload above, replace the initial XML data submitted in the contact form and resend the request. So we literally just gotta copy this, copy, and we're gonna send this to repeater, and we're going to click send. So this is what happens when you send a normal request. We get status 200. Thank you, Kyser Clark. Your message has been received. But if we put this here, we should see the contents of etc password, and we do. As you can see, we got etc password. Nice. Using the payload above, replace XML data submitted in the contact form and resend the request. Okay, we already did that. And you can see they got the same thing here. Theirs a little bit neater than my output is, because theirs in full screen. Maybe I should be in full screen. There we go. That probably makes it easier for you guys to understand what's going on. Oh, it just shrunk somehow. Let's go full screen. There we go. I'm curious, and I recall you're not a fan of social engineering. How much your job has been social engineering? I know Tyler Ramsey definitely doesn't like it. My social engineering experience, so I did a phishing campaign one time where I would send a phishing link or like a phishing email to several employees, a large portion of the employees. It was a small company, so when I say a large portion of the employees, it was more like, I don't know, 10, 20 employees, something like that, somewhere around in there. And all I did was just monitor the amount of people who clicked on it. I monitored how many people submitted credentials, and that was the phishing campaign. I think I got like 4 people to click the link, but I didn't get anybody to submit credentials, which is what the phishing engagement was supposed to measure, which was good. I mean, if you get people went during a phishing campaign and no one submits credentials, then the people are doing their job. So that was my experience with that phishing campaign. It was an external pen test, an internal pen test, and a phishing campaign all in 1 week. I had to do all that in 1 week. So I didn't really spend that much time on the phishing campaign because I had so much more tasks to do that week. So that was my phishing campaign experience there. I only did that one time. Another social engineering was I had in person. I had to basically lie my way into this office, and that was a failure on my end. It was a pass for the company because they didn't let me in, but they knew I was coming, and that was what kind of frustrated me, was because, and they actually told us that after the engagement was over with. They were like, hey, like, we knew you guys are coming because you guys do this the same time every year, so we knew you were coming this week. So we were prepared. And it was hard because, well, that's why I didn't like it, because it was frustrating, because like I had this plan to, like, you know, lie my way into this place, but I didn't like it because it just felt weird to lie, right? It's not something I do that often. I mean, I really don't I really don't lie very often, because I don't like it, and I think it's kind of pointless. So I was really uncomfortable there. And I was pretty much prepared to do it. I was like, okay, we got this. I'm a little nervous, don't get me wrong, for my first time. But then when it happened so fast. It was like a minute of conversation, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I already lost. And that sucked. But looking back at it, you know, they did what they were supposed to do. They didn't let me in. That's what we're testing. And like I said, they knew we were coming, which is why I didn't like it. So maybe if I had another chance at a social engineering engagement like that, where they don't really know I'm coming, and it hasn't been social engineer test, you know, 3 years prior to me doing it, because that's what it was. It was like 3 years prior to me doing it. Then it'd be a little more fun. Especially if it was a more busy office environment. That office had like nobody in it, so, you know, when there's more people, you can get away with social engineering. It's definitely, social engineering sounds fun. Like when you listen to the Darknet Diaries episodes, like, oh man, that sounds so fun. I wish I could do that. And I finally got a chance to do that. I'm like, dude, this kind of sucks. But like I said, they knew I was coming, and it was such a small company. There's only a handful of employees that was there. So it's like, how can you sneak into a place when you can't blend into the crowd, you know? So I'd like to get another crack at a social engineering engagement. I wouldn't say I'll never do this again. I'm always open to doing it again. I'd like to try it again. I love Darknet Diaries. Yeah, it's a good show. I'm actually gonna release a video this weekend about pen testing, because I just hit my 1 year mark at my job. So I've been a full-time pen tester for exactly 1 year today. And I'll tell you right now, man, and this is what I'm gonna give you a little spoiler into this video I'm gonna be dropping this weekend, but pen testing is not as exciting as this Darknet Diaries episodes make out to be. Those Darknet Diaries are like the anomalies of pen testing and hacking, in my opinion, right? It's not that exciting. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, best job I ever had, great job. I don't see myself working any other job, but it's got its moments where it's, I would say, boring 99% of the time, and then 1% of the time it's pretty fun. So now I want to talk about that in a video this weekend. I haven't made that video yet, but I'll probably record it in the next day or two. All right, moving on. XML entity expansion. Oh man, DLC. No. XML entity expansion is a technique often used in XXE attacks and involves defining entities within an XML document, which the XML parser then expands. Attackers can abuse this feature by creating recursive or excessively large entities, leading to a denial of service (DOS) attacks, or defining external entities referencing sensitive files or services. This method is central to both in-band and out-of-band XXE, as it allows attackers to inject malicious entities in the XML data. For example, it's only as boring as your mind allows, my friend. And that's true. I mean, that's factual. Like, it's boring because I told myself it was boring, you know what I mean? If you tell yourself it's exciting, then I guess it's exciting, you know? That's actual facts. But I'll tell you right now, I would say pentesting has been not as fun as I thought it was gonna be. That's for sure. Like I said, best job I ever had, but it's not all sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies, man. It's not always like the Darknet Diaries episodes. It's actually, I've never actually had anything close to a Darknet Diaries episode in my experience, you know what I mean? So, you know, what happens on those shows, like, yeah, that sounds cool when you start listening to Darknet Diaries, but you gotta understand, those are like the best of the best stories, right? Those are the best of the best of the best stories, and those are anomalies. I'm sure there's a pen tester out there that disagrees with me, but it is work at the end of the day, man. In the payload above, XXE is expanded wherever it appears. Attackers can use entity expansion to perform a billion laughs attack. I've never heard of that one. A billion laughs attack, where a small XML document recursively expands to consume server resources, leading to a denial of service. What XXE vulnerability occurs when the server response is immediately disclosed to the attacker without the use of external channels? I think it's in-band, right? It's in-band XXE. I was confused because there's no hyphen here. I think it's in-band. Nice. I can imagine I'm still new, but this stuff raises so much excitement. Again, you're the GOAT. I wouldn't call myself the GOAT. I got a lot to learn, man. There's people out there who are way better and way smarter than I am. What is the content of the file? That is a long file name in the opt directory. Alright, so all I gotta do is, oh, that's not what I want to do. Wow, how did I open up a new tab? I don't understand how that happened. Scroll back down. I just wanted to copy this. Right click. Oh, I click open link. Why is that not copy? Why is copy not on the top? That's what happened. Okay. Going back to burp. All we have to do now is change file XXE password to that, and then we just got to do a slash, no, opt slash, and that should give us the flag. Boom. TryHackMe in band is easy. Is that what that? Yeah, easy. There we go. Got the flag here. We will copy that and go back to the dashboard, paste that, submit, and that is correct. Moving on to task 5. Out of band. You've been really helping me though, bro. You do a great job of keeping things real and professional at the same time. Thanks, man. That's what I try to do. Try to keep professional, but also real at the same time. That's a good way to put it. I never even thought of it that way. Well, you know, that's why I like making content, because I like to say the stuff that no one told me. You know what I mean? That's half the reason why I make the content that I do. It's like, man, would have been nice if I know this earlier. And that's why I make the content that I do, because there's still a lot of, I like to say, landmines, traps that you can fall into when it comes to your career. And I try to help people, because a lot of the YouTubers that make content on like ethical hacking, not a lot, but there's a handful of them out there, like they've never worked as a pen tester, you know what I mean? So they don't really know what the field's like. You know what I mean? So that's why I make the content that I do. But there's not a lot of actual pen testers, like pen testers full time, that are making content. And the reason why is because pen testing is a very demanding field, man. It really is. And YouTube is also very demanding. It's exhausting to do both. Out of band XXE. On the other hand, to demonstrate this vulnerability, go to here. We'll just copy this link. We will go to here. We're going to take the intercept off. And we are going to go to index.php. Boom. Now we're going to go back over here. The application uses the below code when a user uploads a file. The code above doesn't return the values of the submitted XML data, hence the term out of band. Since the exfiltrated data has to be captured using an attacker-controlled server. For this attack, we will need a server. That's why I said never. I said need a server, and my brain crunched it down and just to never. My brain is weird sometimes. We will need a server that will receive data from other servers. You can use Python's http.server module, although there are options out there like Apache or Nginx using AttackBox or your own machine. Start a Python web server using the command python-m http server 1337. Alright, we'll do that. So we'll just do a Python 3-m http server. And I like the role on it. I like the role port 80, the intended port number for HTTP. And the reason why I like to do that, you'll see here in a minute. Upload a file and application and monitor the request that is sent to submit.php using your burp. Forward the request to the burp browser. Upload a file in the application and monitor the request is sent to submit using burp. Okay. So all we got to do is click here, and we are going to upload knife PDF. That was a write up from the knife box on Hack the Box. I don't know what just happened. Did it upload? Oh, there it is. Did it upload? Proxy HTTP history. Here it is. Post. Okay. Here's the upload. So it's saying the post to submit.php. That's what we want to submit. The post request to submit PHP. Okay. Easy enough. So we'll go back over to burp. The post to submit PHP. We'll right click and send this to repeater. Boom. Here we go. Okay, continuing on here, that's done. Using the payload below, replace the value of the XML file in the request and resend it. Note that you'll have to replace the attacker IP variable with your own IP. So we'll just copy all this. And we'll just replace all this right here. And we just gotta put my IP address right here. 1021.181.78 is my IP address, my TryHackMe IP address. Now, as you can see, it says :1337. This is why I like to host my Python servers, my Python HTTP servers on port 80, because when you post on port 80, you don't have to do a :port, right? I can just leave it alone and it's done. But if I do any other port, if I was doing port 443, I'd have to do port 443. Or if I wanted to do port 5000, I'd do port 5000. It's just a couple keystrokes that it saves me. And if I, it just makes it easier in my opinion. So we're going to send this. And this should show up as a log. Yeah, here you go. Boom. Got it. That's probably going to say that on the TryHackMe. Why did it block its IP address? Like, what doesn't make any sense? Yeah, so you got the same thing. After sending the modified HTTP request, the Python's web server will receive a connection from the target machine. That's what we just did. The establishment of a connection with the server indicates that the sensitive information can be extracted from the application. We can now create a DTD file that contains an external entity with a PHP filter to exfiltrate data from the target web server application, not server application. Save the sample DTD file below and name it as sample.dtt. The payload below will exfiltrate the contents of Etsy password and send the response back to the attacker-controlled server. Save the example DTT file and name it sample.dtt. So, copy. And what we're going to do is we're going to Control C, and we're going to change directory into TryHackMe. We're going to make directory. What's this called? XXE injection. Change directory. XXE injection. We're going to nano. I forget what they said to name it as. I guess it doesn't matter. Sample.dtd. Nano sample.dtd. And we will paste that here. And in here, we need to see if we need to change anything. That looks good. Attacker IP and :1337. We just need to do my IP address. 10.21.181.78. And Control X, enter. And that's done. So cat sample.dvd. And that's our modifier. Okay, cool. Clear that out. And we will run the Python server once again. Back to here. DTD payload explained. The DTD begins with the declaration of an XXE %CND that points to the system resource. The %CND entity refers to a resource within the PHP filter protocol, php://filter/convert.base64. You can see it. Do an etc password. It retrieves the contents of etc password, a standard file in Unix-based systems containing user account information. The convert.base64 encode filter encodes the content in base64 format to avoid formatting problems. The OOBXXE entity contains another XML entity declaration, exfil, which has a system identifying pointing to the attacker control server. It includes a parameter named data with CND representing the base64 encoded content of the password. When OOBXXE is parsed, it creates the exfil entity that connects to the attacker server at RP address. The parameter, well, not RP address, our server, our HTTP server. The parameter $data equals %CND sends the base64 encoded content from %CND. Go back to the repeater and change your payload to. So copy this. Resend a request and check your terminal. You will receive 2 requests. The first request is a sample.tdd file, and the second is a request sent by the vulnerable application containing the encoded etc password. Decoding the exfiltrated base64 data will show that it contains the base64 value of etc password. Done. Alright, we're just gonna demo that real quick. So we just gotta put this here, and then change this to my IP address to 10.21.181.78, 78, not 68, and send. And that is exactly what we got. So now all we have to do is copy all of this, copy selection, and if we do a quick Google search for Cybersecurity, click on Cybersecurity. We want to do from base64, so we'll click from base64, click and drag that over, and paste this over here, and as you see, we have the contents of etc password. Easy. What kind of XXE vulnerability occurs when the response of the server is not visible to the attacker? Well, that is out of band XXE. Boom, done. We're now on task 6. Trusted Cookie. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping in. Says, hello, I've been trying to get my foot back in the door since I got out of the military. I did information systems for 2 years, and that was 3 years ago. I'm about to get my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity, and I was able to attain my Sec Plus cert, and now I'm starting the CBBH cert on Hack the Box. I've done some side projects, VPS, developing 2 cryptocurrencies with Remix, IDE, and HomeLab type stuff. My security clearance also expired a year ago. I also took your advice and tried to post my Hack the Box completion on LinkedIn. You know, if there is anything that would pop out on a resume, maybe a project. My LinkedIn network tiny. Yeah, it takes a long time to build your LinkedIn network. For me, the single greatest thing that built my network was just getting a bunch of certifications. Every time I got a certification, I'd get 100 reactions, and I would just slowly build up the network that way. So that's how I got my start on LinkedIn. It's just every time I got a new certification, I would just post about it. And I would, like I said on my videos, that you probably already know since you mentioned it. Is there anything that sticks out on your resume? I mean, I don't have your whole resume here, but just from where you put in the chat, I would say the developing the cryptocurrencies, that's different and unique. That's pretty cool. I don't know how employers value that, right? But that's definitely unique in my opinion, especially if you're like coding it yourself. So that's pretty cool. For projects, I mean, any project that you're passionate about is what's gonna stick out, right? If like if you can put a project on your resume and an employer, like you're in an interview or something, and they ask about that, and you're genuinely excited about talking about that thing, then that's the thing that's gonna stick out the most, right? Because they like passion, right? Employers want to see passion out of their employees, especially in that interview process. So if you're doing stuff that you like to do and you're talking about that in an interview and you're genuinely excited and passionate about the topic, that's what sticks out. So I wouldn't get caught up on like what projects to do. I don't even really talk about doing projects in my content and putting it on your resume, because I didn't really do a whole lot of projects, to be honest with you. I did a 100 days of code challenge and I coded a couple games, and that was about it. Other than that, I just did a bunch of certifications and TryHackMe rooms and Hack the Box machines. But I didn't really mess with the home lab stuff because I like these labs that are already built for me, because I can just go straight to the point. It takes a long time to set up a lab. So projects are good. I don't think they're super necessary, just because, like I said, I didn't really rely on them too much. Like I said, I did do my Python projects, and that did help me out a lot to demonstrate my proficiency in Python. But I kind of had to do that to show proficiency in Python, because there's no Python certifications, right? And like the Python rooms on TryHackMe is just too easy, you know. So I had to do this project to demonstrate competency in Python coding, and that was the only reason why I did it. Obviously, I wanted to learn how to do Python, but I documented it very well. You know, when people ask me, "Hey, do you know how to code in Python?" the first thing I usually say is like, "Yeah, I did a 100-day code challenge. I coded this many projects. You can go to my blog, kyserclark.com/100 days of code," and boom, there you go. There's my 100 days of code, like literally everything I did for 100 days. And that was a huge boost to show that I knew how to do Python. And that also applies to other projects, right? So if someone's like, "Hey, do you know how to code?" You can be like, "Yeah, I coded 2 cryptocurrencies in whatever," I don't know what language you're using, but in Go or Ruby or whatever you're using, C#, you know, whatever language you're using. That goes a long way, because that's real world impact. Really. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to say, just for projects, do what you're passionate about. And if you're genuinely excited about it, then that goes a long way. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, just keep doing the Hack the Box and TryHackMe. Keep getting your certs. That's what I tell people. Just get certs, get TryHackMe, Hack the Box. And if you do it a lot, and it takes a long time, and it is a grind, and you're not going to want to do it every day, but if you do it anyways, you see growth. I mean, heck, to be honest with you guys, I didn't really feel like streaming today, and here I am on TryHackMe doing it anyways, because that's what you got to do to elevate your career, to break into the field. And I'm already in the field, and I still force myself to hop on TryHackMe when I don't necessarily feel like it, you know what I mean? Getting on stream for me is like going to the gym. Like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of working out, But once you get there, like once you get to the gym or you get to the track, like I don't like to run, but I do run. It's so much easier to keep going because I started, right? It's just starting. So now that the stream started, I'm having a blast. But it's like, oh, I gotta do it. I gotta do a TryHackMe video tonight on the stream, and that takes a lot of energy, right? Because I'm an introvert. Who just followed? Matthew Devs, thanks for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you. For those who are just joining in, I do multi-stream on multiple platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and LinkedIn. So if you hear me talking and you don't see a comment in your chat, it's because they're probably on a different platform. But yeah, as I was saying, like, you know, now that I'm going, like, it's easy for me to get going. But the reason why it's like, it's exhausting. For me, streaming is exhausting because I'm an introvert and just talking a lot drains my battery. So when I get done with the stream, I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. But yeah, that's the key to success. Just doing stuff even when you don't feel like it. And there's a lot to learn. Like, you're gonna spend the rest of your life. That's what this career is. You will literally spend the rest of your working career doing this. And if you're not, then you're gonna get left behind. Like, you need to be doing your projects on the side. TryHackMe. Now, once you break in the field, you can let the foot off the gas a little bit, but you can't let it off the gas all the way. You're definitely gonna get left behind. But you need to be doing something in your free time occasionally to keep your skills sharp, because they do deteriorate if you don't exercise. I think this is the last task, and then we're going into mitigation. Mitigation probably isn't going to have any like hands-on activity, so we're getting close to being done here, guys. Server-side request forgery, SSRF attacks occur. We're talking about SSRF now, bro? I didn't even know these were related. That's cool, though. Server-side request forgery, SSRF, attacks occur when an attacker abuses functionality on a server, causing the server to make requests to an unintended location. In the context of XXE, an attacker can manipulate XML input to make the server issue requests to internal services or access internal files. This technique can be used to scam internal networks, access restricted endpoints, or interact with services that are only accessible from the server's local network. Internal network scanning. Consider a scenario where a vulnerable server hosts another web application internally on a non-standard port. An attacker can exploit an XXE vulnerability that makes the server send a request to its own internal network resource. For example, using the capture request from the inbound XXE task, send the capture request to burp and use the payload below. The external ID is set to fetch data from localhost. What? What is this character? Oh, it sends it to intruder. Oh, that's the intruder. Okay, I got it. Will then reiterate the request and search for internal services running on the server. Steps to brute force for open ports. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's just gonna tell you to put a word list. Yeah. I guess I should read this to you. Once the capture request for the inbound XXE is an intruder, click the add. I don't know what that symbol is called. I think it's like a paragraph symbol. I think that's what that's called. Oh, now I gotta Google it. Something that stands for or represents something else. No. What's this symbol called? Typographical symbols. Okay, I guess I can't get an answer for it. I'm not gonna. I mean, I probably could if I do more deep diving, but I'm not gonna do a deep dive. It's out of scope for this room. All right, while highlighting the port, okay, as you can see here, it's highlighting the port number and it's highlighted. In the payload tab, set the payload type to numbers. What the payload numbers want to do 65,535, as you can see here. Pretty standard intruder stuff. Once done, click the start attack button and click the left column to sort which item has the largest size. The difference in the server response size is worth further investigation since it might contain information that is different compared to the other intruder requests. Yeah, it's got a flag. How the server processes this. The entity and XXE is referenced within the name tag, triggering the server to make a HTTP request to the specified URL with when the XML is parsed. The response of the requested resource will then be included in the server response. If an application contains secret keys, API keys, or hard-coded passwords, this information can be used in another form of attack, such as password reuse. Potential security implications. Reconnaissance. Attackers can discover services running on internal network ports and gain insights into the server's internal and architecture. Data leakage. If the internal service returns sensitive information, it can be exposed externally through errors or XML data output. Escalation of privilege. Accessing the internal services could lead to further exploits, potentially escalating an attacker's capabilities within the network. Matthew Devs says, what is your most active platform right now? I don't really have one, to be honest with you. So there's the three that I'm using is Hack the Box, TryHackMe, and the Portswigger Web Security Academy. If you go to my YouTube channel, I know you're watching on Twitch, but on my YouTube channel, you can watch all my past live streams. You can watch them live on Twitch, which is what you're doing now, but the past live streams are on YouTube. And you can see that I alternate between Hack the Box, TryHackMe, and Portswigger Web Security Academy. And I just do them, you know, in sequence. So last week was Portswigger Web Security Academy. This week is TryHackMe. Next stream next week will be Hack the Box. And I just alternate between the three platforms until I start finishing the content. Like once I get done with the Portswigger Web Security Academy, I'll probably start doing more Hack the Box again. My favorite platform, to be honest with you, it just depends. I think TryHackMe is the best beginner platform, but then like once you escape the beginner stages, Hack the Box, in my opinion, is way better. So for me, my favorite platform is Hack the Box, but it wasn't always like that. TryHackMe used to be my favorite platform. TryHackMe is a little beginner friendly, a little bit better. What am I even trying to say? Is a little better for beginners compared to Hack the Box. So that's why it used to be my favorite, but then once I kind of get out of those beginner level stuff and graduated to Hack the Box slowly became my favorite. But they're both fantastic platforms, so I guess it doesn't even really matter if I have a favorite because I alternate between all of them anyways. And I'm also doing some TCM security certifications, so that's what I'm doing in my free time for learning. What is a flag and application running internally? Okay, so we just gotta figure out what port this is running on. So all we have to do is, as it says, is copy this payload, and we have to run the NBN XXE task. So the NBN XXE task is this one. I think, was it this one? Let's go ahead and send this to intruder. Localhost 10. Well, before we, yeah, it should work. We should be able to do this and hit add. and then we can do payloads, and we will do numbers from 0 to 65,535. 65,535. Okay. And we should just hit start attack. This is going to be slow, but it should. We have port 2. No. Wait, how is it? I think I hit the wrong thing. Let's go and pause this and close. Let's go ahead and discard. Go back over to intruder positions. No, that's right. Just hit start attack. I had it right. It looked wrong to me, but it was right. Let's just give that time to figure out what the heck it's doing. What's up, Neo Fetch? How's it going? Welcome back to the stream. How you doing today? $247, $248. Is that what they're having on there? Yeah, they got 248. So we're just looking for like a length of. Well, it's probably gonna say 323 because we're gonna get the same results as them. We just don't know the request in the payload because they blurred it out. That's why we have to do it ourselves. So it should say 323. We just gotta give us time. Burp Intruder is very slow on the Community Edition, which is the free edition of Burp. And we still don't have anything. Okay, we just gotta wait. Dude, I'm fine, thank you, bro. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Bro, this is so slow. It's killing me. How many requests have we sent? 72? I don't know how long we're gonna have to wait. It's so slow. It's sending requests unbearably slow. I feel like I can just speed this up by doing a using FFUF. Oh, here it is. Perfect. It was request 82, payload 81. So port 81 gave us the flag. So if we copy this, this is our flag. And we can paste what is the flag, and the port is 81. Submit that, and we are done. Go to the next task. Mitigation here. Yeah, no hands on complaining here. We just got to read. Avoiding misconfigurations. Misconfigurations in XML parser settings are common cause of XXE related vulnerabilities. Adjusting these settings can significantly reduce. I guess I should probably stop that burp attack because we are kind of done with it. Stop. Close. Discard. There we go. Don't need that running when we're done with it. Adjusting these settings can significantly reduce the risk of XXE attacks. Below are detailed guidelines and best practices for several popular programming languages and frameworks. General best practices. Disable external entities and DTTs. As a best practice, disable the processing of external entities and DTTs in your XML parsers. Most XXE vulnerabilities arise from malicious DTTs. Use less complex data formats. Where possible, consider using simpler data formats like JSON, which do not allow the specification of external entities. Allow listening input validation. All incoming data against a strict schema that defines expected data types and patterns. Exclude or escape XML specific characters such as less than, greater than, the and symbol, single quote, and double quotes. These characters are crucial in XML syntax and can lead to injection attacks if misused. Mitigation techniques in popular languages. Java. Use a document builder factory and disable DTTs. .NET. Configure XML readers to ignore DTTs and external entities. PHP. Disable loading external entities by libxml. Python. Use diffuse XML library, which is designed to mitigate XML vulnerabilities. Regular update and patch. Software updates keep all XML processors and libraries up to date. Vendors frequently patch known vulnerabilities. Security patches. Regularly apply security patches to applications and their environments. Security awareness and code reviews. Conduct code reviews. Regularly review code for security vulnerabilities, especially code that handles XML input and parsing. Promote security training. Ensure developers are aware of secure coding practices, including the risks associated with XML parsing. And there's no question and answer for that, so we can just click to continue. And conclusion. XXE XML external entities attacks arise from improper handling of user-supplied input in web applications, particularly in XML parsing. Attackers exploit vulnerable XML processors to inject malicious external entities, leading to data exfiltration, server compromise, or denial of service. XXE vulnerabilities can be prevented by disabling external entity expansion, validating user input, and using secure XML parsing libraries. Additionally, implementing security best practices such as input validation, output encoding, and secure coding practices can significantly reduce the risk of XXE attacks. Regular security audits, code reviews, and training on secure development practices are essential for identifying and mitigating XXE vulnerabilities. By understanding the risks and taking proactive measures, developers and administrators can protect their web applications from XXE attacks and ensure the security and integrity of their systems. Recap of key concepts covered in the room. In this training room, we cover a comprehensive range of topics related to XXE, XML external entity vulnerabilities, which are crucial in understanding how these vulnerabilities can impact web security. Here's a quick recap. Understanding XML, we explore the basis of XML syntax and structure, including the use of DTTs and how they can be exploited. XML parsing mechanisms. We discuss different XML parsers and their configurations, emphasizing security practices. Exploiting XXE. Detailed steps were provided to exploit XXE vulnerabilities, ranging from basic data exfiltration to advanced techniques like out-of-band XXE, XXE plus SSRF. We explored the concept SSRF attacks via XXE for out-of-band data exfiltration, and how to scan internal networks using this attack. Mitigation strategies to prevent XXE vulnerabilities were outlined, focusing on avoiding misconfigurations and reinforcing secure coding practices. I can now exploit XXE vulnerabilities. Done. And that is the end of the room. We just got 64 points, dude. What up? We'll hit next. And if you guys follow me for any length of time, you know that when you complete a room on TryHackMe or you complete a Hack the Box room, you should be sharing on LinkedIn. I no longer do this. And the reason why I no longer do this is because I'm already streaming on LinkedIn. I just did the whole thing live in front of LinkedIn. So I don't really share these, but if you're trying to break in the field, definitely click the LinkedIn button and share it on LinkedIn and then write about it. And the next room is server-side template injection, SSTI. That's gonna be fun. SSTI is actually pretty fun. But that's for the next not Hack the Box, TryHackMe stream. So next week I'll be doing Hack the Box. Not sure what machine it will be, but it will be Hack the Box. What's up, Alexander? He says go. Thank you. Alright guys, I'm going to leave the stream open for a couple minutes here. If you have any final questions, drop them in the chat. If not, then I'm going to turn off the stream. Happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. If there's no questions or comments, then I'm going to hop off. But I'm going to let you guys submit anything you want here in for the next couple minutes. And I'm just going to ramble on about. If you're new here and you're watching and you haven't followed yet or subscribed, do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, like the live stream and hit the subscribe button. If you're on Twitch, hit the follow button. If you're on Kick, hit the follow button. If you're on LinkedIn, follow me if you haven't already followed me. Check out my podcast, The Hacker's Cache. I got new episodes every Wednesday. I interview offense security professionals on the show and bring out their expertise and insights and give them to you, the viewer. And then also on my YouTube channel, I have plenty of regular videos that aren't live streams. A little bit neater, a little bit tightened up. All the fluff is taken out, or most of it. Some of those videos I just ramble for 40 minutes. I'm trying to do better, like try to keep them under the 20-minute mark. By the way, if you guys have any feedback on like your preferred video length, let me know. I've been thinking like the ideal video length is anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes, right? Like you kind of want to watch something that's longer than 10, but at the same time it should be under 20. But there's obviously the podcast episodes, those are longer, like 30, 40 minutes, but I'm talking about the videos. All right, guys. Looks like there's no questions, comments, or concerns. So you guys are absolutely welcome. It's my pleasure to do these live streams. It's my pleasure to make the content I do. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Thanks for the support. There's way more content on the way. I got a lot of ideas. I just have a limited amount of time. I am a full-time pen tester after all. I am not a full-time content creator. So I have a lot of ideas. I just don't have the time to bring them out. I like long videos, to be honest. They get me through work. Any advice on someone breaking the tech or IT in cyber? Yeah, and this is where I would say go check out my YouTube videos. I got tons of advice, but the biggest thing is just you got to put in the work. I'm 22 and feel cooked. Nah, you're good. Dude, I started at 24 years old. So I wish I started at 22. You're in a really good spot. If I can go back in time and start at 22 years old, I would be 2 years ahead right now. But yeah, you're fine. My advice is this. You got to put in the work. There's no shortcuts to success. It's a grind. It takes a lot of effort, and you gotta enjoy the process. And it's not fun every day, but as long as it's fun most days, then you'll survive in this field. But every day isn't fun. It has its moments where it's extraordinarily fun, like it's just like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then there's times like, this is the worst thing ever. But as long as you're having more fun days than not fun days, then you're in the right field. If it sucks every day, then you're probably not in the right field. But it's gonna suck. For me, I love this field. Obviously, I put so much time, effort, and energy into it, and I definitely have more fun with it, and I enjoy it more than I don't like it. But it has its days, and when you get those days, you just got to do it anyways. Like I said earlier in the stream, like you just got to do the work anyways, especially when you're trying to break in, right? Because there's a lot of people that's competing for these jobs. There's not millions and millions of unfilled cyber jobs. That's a myth. There's very few, and then the very few that are open, you're getting hundreds, sometimes thousands of people applying to those positions, and you're in competition with those people, whether you like it or not. Whether you consider yourself a competitive person or not, you are in competition, and you have to be competitive. And to be competitive, you just gotta do the work. You just gotta knock off all the boxes, right? That's how I did it. I got my degree. I got all my certs. I did the TryHackMe. I did the Hack the Box, and I just nonstop obsessed over it. And I made a lot of sacrifices. I quit playing video games. I stopped going to parties. I stopped drinking. I made a lot of sacrifices. And partying and drinking, like, it doesn't seem like it's a sacrifice. It's like no brainer. Like, don't drink, don't go to parties. Like, it doesn't do anything for you. But it is hard when you're trying to escape like the party mindset. Like, your friends are like, oh, let's go party. You're like, no, I'm sorry, I gotta study for the certification. You know, they're gonna be like, boo, not cool. You know what I mean? That's hard. There's a lot of peer pressure there. So, but it's worth it. 100% worth it. And that's my advice. Just put in the work. No shortcut to success. And you are competing against other people. There's other people putting in the work. When you're slacking, they're putting in the work. And that's how you gotta imagine it. And I would say, yeah, daily. NeoFetch says daily. I would say daily is highly important when you're first breaking in. But once you break in, guys, I'm telling you right now, you don't want to do it daily. Okay, you need to take a weekend day off. Okay, because you're going to be doing it daily. You're going to be doing it 40 hours a week for work, and you are doing it every day. And you do want to spend time after work sharpening your skills, but you don't need to spend every day after work sharpening your skills. And you still need to give yourself like a weekend day, like a day off, just to relax and reset if you want to survive in this field, because you will get burnout. Burnout is a huge deal, and I talk about that a lot too. So it's like, once you break in, it's okay to let your foot off the gas, because if you don't, you will burn out and you'll actually just start hating the job. You'll hate the field. Now, if you can do it daily, all day, every day, and you don't get burned out, that's great. That's a superpower. I don't have that superpower. I burn myself out all the time because, like I said, it's not exciting every day. Yeah, currently started for Net Plus for WGU, trying to make time to have fun on TryHackMe. That's good, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Diversify. You want to, get your degrees, get your certs, do your TryHackMe. You want to have all the checkboxes marked off, and those, in my opinion, are the 3 essentials. Do home lab stuff if you can. Do some projects. I burn out as well, dude. Everybody does. Because, well, here's the fact of the matter. Humans did not evolve to stare at computer screens all day, every day, guys. And that's a fact. That's why it burns you out. Because we weren't never designed to do that, okay? So, you gotta go outside. They say, go touch grass. You need to. You have to. Humans were never meant to stare at computer screens all day, every day. And that's a fact. So, you know, once you break in the field, go outside, man. You know? I would say I wish I went outside a little bit more during my grind. Right? So, a lot of people say that, and I used to think it was kind of weird when I was breaking. I'm like, bro, I gotta outwork everybody to get in this field, and that was true. And all these people were like, yeah, you gotta take breaks, and I'm like, what the heck's a break? But now that I'm in the position that I'm in, 1 year as a pen tester, I'm like, bro, take your breaks. Once you get in the field, you gotta take your breaks. And now, man, that'd be a good video right there. Because I used to be like, what the heck's a break? And now that I'm, you know, I've been in the field 7 years now. 1 year of those has been as a full-time pen tester. And I'm like, yeah, I get it now. I understand why these senior guys are saying, go outside, touch grass, go take your breaks. Because it's draining. But it's a great field. There's a lot of opportunity. It's always expanding. There's always something new to learn. And that's what makes it fun and exciting, right? Because you never know what's going to happen, right? You know, next year we're going to be talking about different types of exploits, different types of hacks. It's fun. I recall you saying that in a prior video I just watched. Yeah, I tend to repeat myself a lot, but because a lot of the stuff I say is like, it doesn't change that much. The fundamentals don't really change. You're the ultimate cyber coach? I try to be. I hope. I got a lot more to learn myself, guys. That's why I still do platforms like this. TryHackMe, right? This what I did today, I never done that room. I've done XXE injection before, but I'm not an expert on XXE injection, so I learned a little bit today. I got my practice in, and it really wasn't even really learning for me, because I did learn some stuff, but XXE, like I said, it's not a new topic for me. It's more like it's just keeping the rust off my skills. That's why I do this stuff. And I get to stream and talk to you guys. That's another reason too. Secret advice: sit your ass on a chair and study. That's the facts. You got to do it. You got to study. Get a comfortable chair, because you're going to be in it for a long time. A long time. Get a comfortable chair. Get a comfortable desk. Best investment you'll ever make. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next stream. I got much more content on the way, so stay tuned. Thanks for the support. You guys take care.